I know that when I was diagnosed with cancer 16 years ago, and he'd say the word leprosy, but it was almost like, if you said leprosy, cancer was sort of like that, was like feeling like a death sentence. I had a skincare school, so I had one of the second skincare aesthetic schools in the country. And one of the things that I found interesting about the clay is that it is from France, and along with that, they had a clay water. Women get so addicted to their products, they get addicted to certain, lines of product, and they think it's okay.
Nice round face to, oh my God, who's that little old lady on the mirror?
Can you talk about how emotional health shows in your skin, on your body, and how should we change our skin routine?
I really feel as though the more women's lives that I can touch, the more that I can help them. The health of our future for women is to be consciously aware of our lifestyle, and it has to also not only start with the exercise and the drinks that we drink, but what we put on our skin.
Welcome to another episode of Unify and Beautify, the podcast that shows you the other side of beauty. Every week, we interview the experts in the world of beauty, health, and wellness, so that you can make informed decisions that are right for you. My name is Nour Abochama. Today, we're joined by Karen Balllou, the founder of Immunocologie, a skincare line built from a deeply personal experience and driven by a mission to remove toxins from beauty routines. After a cancer diagnosis changed the way she viewed health and beauty, Karen created a brand focused not just on skin, but on the whole person. We're talking clean ingredients, trauma-informed wellness, and her partnership with Blue Zone to support longevity from the inside out. If you ever wondered how emotional well-being and skincare are connected, or why clean beauty is more than a trend, it's time to tune. If this is your first time listening to Unify and Beautify, welcome. We're so happy to have you. If you're a returning listener, we appreciate your support. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app and share this episode with someone who could benefit from this conversation. Now let's get into it. Karen, we're so excited to have you here. You've built something truly powerful with Immunocologie. And I know that story starts with something very personal for you. Can you take us back to the beginning? What shifted in your life that led you to the road you are in right now?
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy and honored to be part of your show and your podcast. So thank you so much for reaching out. And, thank you for also taking the time to hear a little bit more about my story, because, I think when storytelling is such an important part of our lives today, but also to not have the fear of telling the story, right?
Of course.
And I know that when I was diagnosed with cancer 16 years ago, I know that I was always very shy to tell people that I had cancer. One, because when you say cancer, it was like the big C is like, oh my gosh. I hate to say the word leprosy, but it was almost like, if you said leprosy, cancer was sort of like that, was like feeling like a death sentence. And the thing about that was that I've been in the cosmetic industry my whole career. I mean, from the time I was 21 years old until now, I've never changed my career. I've always been in the same place of being involved with the cosmetic industry. So hence that I not only worked for Elizabeth Arden in the day, but also Redken when they had a skincare line out there. Moving fast forward, I had a skincare school, so I had one of the second skincare aesthetic schools in the country. That seems so long ago. And then I also had my own spa, had my own spa, but I wrote educational curriculum for the industry, so I became a subject matter expert in that area. But one of the keys to this is that understanding that I worked with technology and technology that goes into products, things like glycolic and salicylic and things like that. So I talk about things like, taking seed to market, taking that molecule to market. And so fast forwarding all of this in my journey, along with having 4 kids, I started to really, at this point in my career, was looking at this project, and it was a consulting on the project and looking at green clay from the earth. And I said, well, it's green clay from the earth, and we have all this biotech out there and all these, in lab techs and things like that. And one of the things that I found interesting about the clay is that it is from France. And along with that, they had a clay water, and they took the clay water into patent technology, and they used that clay water, which is clay and water, and they centrifuge it together, creating this ionic exchange. And they used it in organic farming. And I thought, this is fascinating because, there's so many reasons why we should be doing healthy, and yet it's very hard to do healthy and to do clean. And this is many years ago, before clean is clean and all of this. And I always had this vision of, being a little bit ahead of myself in the industry, because you have to foresee, doing the things that I've done in the industry, always had to foresee and forecast what was maybe the next thing that's going to happen. So when I started studying the clay and found this clay water and finding that it was being used in organic farming, and we did testing to find out how could that water be effective on the skin as a delivery system, because the potatoes were richer in minerals versus those that were being used pesticides. And that was a breakthrough, because if that water could get through the potato skin, could it get through the skin, our skin, right? Our largest organ of our body. And you know what? It did. It showed that the skin stayed hydrated far longer than just when we actually use water. So that was intriguing for me, right? It's like we want our skin to stay hydrated longer. There's a lot of conversation about, long-lasting hydration. And we're always trying to drink enough water to get to that place also that allows our skin to be hydrated. But we seem to not be able to drink those 8 ounces or, 6 or 7 glasses of water a day, right? So, yeah, exactly. And a lot of bathroom runs. And so this was very, very intriguing for me. And so as I studied this and got to know this very intimately in that sense of feeling it on my skin, learning about it, and using it in my treatment room, I then got diagnosed with cancer during this time. And that was just it was devastating. And, as I say this, no one wants this to happen to them. And obviously no one wants that. But when the diagnosis came through, I was working with the scientist behind the clay water that was being in your organic farming. And he suggested I drink the clay water and, during chemo. And I said, well, chemo, radiation, clay water, how bad could it be for me? And the clay water was all about bringing hydration, but it was also about detoxing the body. And I thought, this is absolutely amazing. Well, I just, couldn't think of anything more than just getting well. So within those 5 years, I always say that, get through with cancer, it takes about 5 years to get through and get to remission. And, once you're in remission, it doesn't mean that essentially cancer is under control. And so you always have to be a little bit aware of that. But remission also gives you that sort of freedom to say, I have a clean bill of health, my tumors are gone. And I was, at that moment, I'll never forget, being with my oldest son. And, it was that moment that we said, you know what? I have to take this clay water and I have to create a product with the clay, because I use the clay mask on my skin during cancer. And people would say, why does your skin look so good? But then also my other cancer friends, they were not so much. It was just, I could see the difference, right? And being a skin expert, I so wanted to do facials on them. I wanted to go over it and help them. Well, I certainly couldn't. But, what I did know is that I had something that was very unique and something that I wanted to bring to the world. And I knew how clean and healthy it was, but most of all, how non-toxic it was. And so that's when my, aha moment, or when we talk about not only aha moments, but we also talk about that light bulb that goes off. And I said to my son, I have to do this. I have to bring this to women around the world, and of course men too, and to bring something that was going to be non-toxic and healthy for the skin. And so this really happened 13 years ago. And when we think about that, we think about in the sense that where we are today with clean and non-toxic products, we have to be a little bit careful about this because not what they say is what they are.
Ever wish you could get featured on top podcasts, write a book, or grow your personal brand on social media? That's when we use Trelexa. It's part AI and part real experts. And we are all about building your credibility. Trelexa finds the best media spots for you, helps you write your story, and even handles podcast bookings. All you have to do is show up and shine. Let us help you grow your audience and online authority. Visit Trelexa.com to get started today.
I'm just amazed how you were able to get something so good from something so bad.
So I know. So blessed. I really have to tell you what a blessing. And you know what, the side of that was that I then went to work and started developing the products. But when I would talk to people about the product, it's really interesting because, you know, it's about a lifestyle. And when we drink green juice, it's about lifestyle, right? When we go to work out, it's about lifestyle. And so until we get to that point where we really understand that that lifestyle is important to me, do women really understand that they need to be careful about what they're putting on their skin that goes into their body?
Yeah. Well, so many brands claims to be clean or not toxic.
Yes.
But
Yes.
your approach, it's different. It's rooted in
Yes.
health and science. What was
Yes.
the thing from the skincare space that you felt called you to create?
That's a great question. You know, knowing brands like I did and knowing that I worked with a lot of brands and consulting a lot of brands, I saw the white space. This is so important because for those who are listening, I saw that we were putting so many toxins on our skin and we had these environmental stresses on our skin. And we have a whole new world out there of where women are putting, and I don't want to offend any woman who's doing Botox, but when we put into our body, just like if we smoke a cigarette, we know that that is attached to cancer, whether we like it or not. We know secondhand smoke is now attached to that. Now, what I'm saying is that I know that we are putting these chemicals on the skin that, being the largest organ of the body, we're absorbing into the body, and they're going into our body because the skin has that ability to do that. And I realize, because in all the work that I've done in creating lots of products in the industry, I understand molecules and I understand the repercussions of those molecules, whether it is to get rid of dead skin cells, whether it is to hydrate the skin. But what was key for me was, how do I get this product to market where women will understand that natural can be effective if you have the right delivery system? And that's what's been missing in the marketplace. Now, do I want to say that I have the only, product in the world that will do this or have a delivery system? Absolutely not. But am I in the minority of clean, non-toxic, healthy, that we're bringing health to the body through the skin? I am in the minority. And it's because it's very, very hard to develop products today without having, even from fragrances that are toxic. I mean, there are so many toxic fragrances out there. There are so many, other ingredients in the marketplace that get absorbed into the body. I mean, just one particular ingredient that should be so much not used in our cosmetics is petrolatum or mineral oil, right?
Every single place.
Yes. And you look at those products and there's some major brands out there that women have been using for a long time. And not only worry, but I know how women get so addicted to their products. They get addicted to certain, lines of product, and they think it's okay. But you know what? They don't have to go through the trauma of that. We can be safe. We can be healthy without putting added stresses into our body, such as poisons or toxins, through our skin.
Yeah. And you've said before that what goes on your skin is just as important as what goes into your body.
Yes.
Soup ingredients. What should people looking for to or avoid when they're picking?
Well, I mean, first of all, as I mentioned, mineral oil, anything that has mineral oil in it. Petrolatum is a form of mineral oil, and sometimes it depends upon what that is, if they're using the petrolatum or the mineral oil. So that's one as an example. You have to be careful of the preservative system that's out there that can actually have, now some people say, oh, it has no problem, it has no effect, but there are different types of preservative systems out there that aren't really healthy for you. They are a synthetic and it gets absorbed into the body and is a stress to the skin. We also have things out there that are dimethicones that are made to just make product feel soft and silky, and they move the product, and it's, silicones. And so those silicones are getting on the skin and those are going into the system. But, I want to just say that there are parts of that silicones or dimethicones, I should say, that they are good because they're soothing to the skin, calming to the skin. But just because it's soothing and calming doesn't mean that it's healthy. So we have this myth out there that silicones are okay, right? And that they're not really okay, right? One thing also is that when you see a list of products and the ingredients are this big, right? They should be very short. The list should be short. Because when you start thinking about this, I wonder sometimes when you see that list and you say it has like 12 different essential oils in it, and it has, 5 different flowers in it. Then you go in and you have your dimethicones, and then you have your, you have your synthetic, and when I say synthetic, when you have these preservative systems that may not be okay for you, you add those all up and they start to absorb into your body, and they start to have these stresses on your body, your skin, right? And so this is where I always say, looking at the ingredient list is one thing, but also how big is it and what's the content of that ingredient list? And if I could just make that suggestion, is that when you start to see, 12 or 13 or more different types of ingredients, I don't know how they all work. It's sort of like getting that bellyache for the skin, because you want certain things to take effect. So if you have shea butter and you have sunflower oil and you have moringa butter, those are all kind of coming together as a beautiful blend of oils for the skin. But then if you start adding, another 6, 7, 10, or 12 ingredients in there, where's the messaging? Most people don't realize, and this is so important, skin is intelligent. It knows what it needs and it knows what it wants. And 2 things that it needs very, very much, water and oil. When you start filling it up with too much, the skin is going, cancel out.
Oh.
So you have to think about it as how intelligent that skin is.
So you need to handle your skin as an intelligent organ that understands
Yes.
what you're giving it. So if
Yes.
you're giving a lot of messages, your skin is gonna block it.
Yes. And then also think about skin as how skin knows how to repair itself, right? That's why when you get a cut, the skin then heals. Now, of course, if it doesn't heal nicely, it's because sometimes it's the reproductive system not being able to heal the skin in a nice way. Or if you happen to be subjected to keloids, doesn't heal it so nicely. So there's a lot of things that the skin can do because it's intelligent. It knows how to, when it comes from that point of our luciderm and it comes up, right? And the collagen production is really full. It's nice and full and it has, all this plumpiness to it. But then when we get to that certain age of 35, it starts to go down, right? I know. That's why they say gravity takes it off.
Oh my God, who's that little
Old lady on
So when you think about that, right? You think about how intelligent is the skin. And we don't think about how intelligent the skin is, but that ties back to our brain. Our brain also is connected to our skin, just as it's connected to every other part. But being the skin of the largest organ, when you feel pain, it's not because you feel pain, it's because the skin sends a message to the brain. The brain goes, ah, right? And so some people tolerate pain better than other people. Some people actually feel heat more than someone else. That's because the brain, the mechanism of the brain, and then that sends the waves to the skin. And then the skin has this ability to heal or not to heal. And so I try to keep things somewhat simple, when even developing the products of immunocologie, which means a study of the skin's immunity, which means at that end, it's really looking at the skin's immunity, but the body's immunity, right? Where are we in that production of our immune system? What's the strength of our immune system? What's the weakness of our immune system? And now we're very conscious of this since COVID, of course. But the one area that I have to stress with our audience here is that we are not thinking in the way of skin immunity.
Tired of wasting hours on repetitive workflows? TheoSim is your lifeboat. We build AI tools that automate busy work so you and your team can focus on big ideas, not data entry. We offer power empathetic chatbots so customers get real, helpful conversations, not robotic dead ends, as well as tailor workflows to your industry, whether you're in e-commerce, services, or wellness. We fit AI around your needs. With TheoSim, you get hands-on support from AI experts who care about your customers as much as you do. Ready to swap stress for efficiency? Visit theosim.com and let's launch your first human-centric AI solution. No headaches required.
We're thinking it of, oh, my beautiful glow, or, oh, let me get rid of these wrinkles and I better go over here to get the wrinkles. And that's one of the reasons I developed Super 7, which is my hero product. It's about, it's kind of that no Botox. You don't need the Botox. It firms, Super 7 firms, it tightens. And I did that because I used Snail Mucin, a nice ingredient that has the ability to turn over those cells. It's the liquid that comes.
I'm sure there most of the people never heard about. Oh, maybe they did. I didn't.
Well, Snail Mucin is that goop that's on snails, and it's like when our fingernails get hard, that's the shell, right?
Yeah.
Our eyelashes, the shell. Our hair is the shell. And so a snail has a shell, but just like we shed our hair, our eyelashes, our brows, our fingernails, so does the snail. It sheds that shell. Well, that shell is made out of that protein of that clear liquid. So twice a year they shed the shell. That clear liquid has its own enzymes, has its own hyaluronic, and it has the ability then at that point, when we actually get that goop, right, that's left, we have snail farm, and they let the goop drip the goop, and we get the goop. And the goop is actually this protein that we then are able to use within the product. Very potent for eliminating dead skin cells, so we're going to freshen up the cells. Very good at repairing the cells, which is part of our, I want to say, age-defying or pro-aging aspect, because the more we can get rid of dead skin cells, the more we can hydrate the skin. The thicker the skin is, the less you eliminate those cells, the less you can actually give that skin a drink, right? Topically. So Snail Mucin is made to actually go in and hydrate, help to exfoliate, help to improve the hydration of the skin, give the skin a beautiful glow as it firms and it tightens. So it has a lot of components in a natural way, right? That's the key, is that this is a natural ingredient.
Well, when I hear you talking, one of the most powerful things you always bring in the link between trauma, mental health, skin. Can you talk about how emotional health shows in your skin, on your body, and how should we change our skin routine depending on our stress level, maybe?
Yeah. That's such a great question. It really does. I mean, I think one of the things that we always think about is that we need sleep, right? Sleep has a lot to do with stress, and those two kind of come together. And I think you have more people aware how important sleep is, meditation is, and how much it is to be mindful of your own being, right? And self-care is also very important. And I think we as women tend to be the caregiver. We're the ones who are really making sure that everything is okay with the family. And even those of us who, have help, there's still that stress on us to make sure that our kids are okay, our husband, our boyfriend, our family, our moms, our dads. Where does it all end up? Through our mental capacity, right, gets to overflow. And that overflow then affects the body and that affect the body is then going to show up on the skin. And the reason it shows up on the skin is because of the dehydration level, because the body goes through this like absorption, and it puts out, right? And that's one of the things that's unique about immunocology. And I just want to relate this to this because we have absorption and adsorption. And this is a key factor of biomimicry, because the skin has a memory and it knows what it needs and wants, as we said before, but it also knows that it needs that hydration. But when the body is in a stress level, you need to keep it hydrated. And the less hydrated, the more negative effects it has on the body. So, at that point, drinking of the water, not anything with sugar, but drinking of the water is important to bring that hydration back to the brain that then helps to bring that to the rest of the body. So ultimately, the stressors that happen is that it starts to affect how the skin appears, the brightness of the skin, the luminous look of the skin. So it starts to wear on the cellular layer of the skin. And so this is where you can push the skin a little bit when you're on a good skincare regimen. And sometimes I will say you could be a little stressed, right? And in that little bit of stress, you're gas, and you want to push that. You want to give that skin the excitement with the right kind of ingredients, with the right kind of products to bring brightness back to the skin, right? Bring energy back to the skin. And that doesn't mean the face. We're talking about the body, what you put on your, the rest of your body. And, things like Epsom salts, really important to pull out those toxins out of the body. Going in and having an infrared treatment, one of the infrared beds where you can go in there and help with inflammation, helps with your stressors, maybe a hyperbaric chamber. That's important because you can go in and bring that oxygen into the brain, into your breathing capacity, and help with your full cellular layer of your body by bringing that oxygen in. So stressors in the brain, because you're stressed, because it just doesn't happen. It's the brain that absorbs those stressors, right? And that then sends out messages to other parts of your body. And I could talk about that for such a long time. But, there's so many things out there that are happening with that. And there are assessments as well that you can have to find out where your stress level is. Then what do you do about that? What's been depleted in your body that you need to bring back to your body for that? And that shows up on your skin as well.
Wow. And I know that you recently had the surgery and you still made this conversation a priority. That says a lot about how much you care about this work. What's keeping you so grounded and focused right now, even when things get challenging?
Well, I think the most important thing with that is that I really truly believe that women out there are just getting to hear this message, and especially from me. I really feel as though the more women's lives that I can touch, the more that I can help them. That's what touches my heart, the more that I can help them on a day-to-day basis, because I can't be in their bathroom helping them, with their treatment. But what I can do is offer them something that I know that will be the best for them. And that's been my whole career. I once thought I was going to go into dermatology, but then I did a little pivot. And the reason I pivoted is that I really believe in the aspect of how to help one be the best that they can be. And that is through that conversation of maybe things that I've learned, right? And being an esthetician and being a master esthetician and having the education behind me that I have within this area of, I want to say, energy work that I do, the communication work that I do. This is so, for me, my life's work is to bring something. I am just the messenger. I'm fortunate enough to have this ability to work with one of the best ethnobotanists in the world. He used to be with the Pasteur Institute. He's a virologist. He's an ethnobotanist. I've learned so much from him as he has learned from me. He travels the world and looks at plants, and he looks at what plants can bring to us. And remember the old medicine man, right? So I see what we have in the future, especially with immunocology. I am the messenger to help women around the world to receive this clay water that we have in every one of our products, the science that we have from that clay water that will then come into our skin with the 12 essential minerals and be the conduit to bring the vitamins into the skin. And I'm just the messenger. I've been given a gift, I've been given a blessing, and I've given a life, right? And
how passionate you are about it. And I feel always when you're passionate about something that you give the message more honestly and it reaches more people. Before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone listening, especially a woman who's trying to take care of her skin and overall health?
Yeah, I think today that we are using too many products on our skin. We're over-producting our skin. And so I think women need to stop and think about that. And I think the absorption of all those chemicals, we as women, between the cleaning fluids that we've used in the past to the things that we use on a daily basis, I really think the health of our future for women is to be consciously aware of our lifestyle. And it has to also not only start with the exercise and the drinks that we drink, but what we put on our skin.
Looking to stand out in the crowded wellness market? Calatex partners with brands to deliver scientifically validated, premium-grade supplements, which means no more guesswork on quality or efficacy. Whether you're launching a new product line or upgrading existing formulations, Calatex ensures third-party testing for purity and potency, transparent sourcing of ingredients, custom packaging and labeling to match your brand identity. Stop worrying about recalls or negative reviews. Let Calatex handle the heavy lifting so you can focus on growing sales, building trust, and delighting customers every time they hit Add to Cart. Learn more at calatex.com.
And I also believe that we have to be conscious of the fabrics that we wear. What kind of fabric is it? Are they toxic fabrics going in? And I'd love to share more about that another time with you, because I really believe what we wear on our body, this is a cotton sweater, and I believe what we wear on our body is just as important what we put on our skin. And so that I want women to start to think about that lifestyle. We now have a choice, right? We don't have to use the chemicals. There's Immunocologie out there that can help you. And that's what, I'm not just saying it because it's my brand. I'm saying it because there is a choice out there. You don't have to be putting those toxins in your body like you have been in the past. And one last thing I want to say is that I started this 21-day program, and that is to show you how by using one system on your skin, meaning when you use Immunocologie, you will get that glow. And the people that have been using it, they don't have to worry about anything else. But my most important part as I leave you today is that we have to stop over-producting our skin and stop this over-aggressiveness to our skin.
Wow. Okay, and where can our audience go if they want to explore Immunocologie or to follow your work?
Yes. Well, thank you. It's Immunocologie. It's IMMUNOCOLOGIE, Immunocologie.com. And of course, you can go to Immunocologie, hashtag Immunocologie. You can go to our social media, which is on Instagram. And we also have a YouTube channel, and we also have of course, Facebook, and I have my own personal page, Karen Balllou. If you want to just, DM me at all, certainly would love to answer any questions, help anyone out there that would like or is going even through, autoimmune or cancer, or would like to have a personal consultation with me. I am here to help any way I can. So I really hope, not only today, but in the future that, we really have an opportunity to meet and really change the way we are looking at our skincare. So I thank you so much for having me.
So much for being here. We appreciate it. And we've learned a lot, I'm sure. And what do you can get you again?
I hope so. I look forward to it.
We want to thank you for listening to Unifying Beautify, where we show you the other side of beauty. If you'd like to learn more about us or read our blog, visit us at unify-beautify.com. I'm Nour Abochama. See you next time.